Okay, so I know I said in this video I was going to be talking about for loops and looping, but I actually forgot that I haven't yet talked about arrays. So we're going to be going into arrays in this video, and that'll lead us really nicely into for loops and while loops in future videos, because that's kind of one of the main things you do with arrays is you loop through them and you look at things. So we first need to know about arrays before we can really move into loops, or at least so that it makes more sense in this series. So anyways, what is an array? Well, an array is a collection pretty much of elements that is a set size. So rather than having like a variable equal to 1, you'd have an array and it would have a bunch of different values in there that you can index at certain points. And you'll see when I start talking about them here if you're a little bit confused. But how to create an array is to first, you have to declare the type that you want your array to be. So all the values in the array, at least for right now, have to be the same type. So in this case, I'm going to create an integer array, and to declare that this is going to be an array, you simply do these little square brackets. You say int square brackets, the name of your array, in this case I'm going to say new ARR, standing for array, is equal to, and then in this case you're going to say new int square brackets, and inside of this square brackets, you have to define how many elements or how long your array is going to be. In this case, I'm just going to say 5, okay? So you can see that's fine, not getting any issues here just because we're not using new AR. But yeah, this is the syntax. So whatever type you want it to be, you type the type. So if I want it to be string, I do string. And then this obviously would have to be the same, string like that, okay? Square brackets, name of your array, equals new, and then the type, square brackets, how long you want the array to be. Now there's another way to declare this, I'll show you in a second, but this is like a set length. Like you can't change this length. So you have to make sure that when you're declaring your arrays, you know how many elements you want to have. Because you can't, if you make an array length 0, then there's no point in using it. You can't add anything past like that length, okay? And what it's going to do is it's going to by default set all of these elements to like null. So they have no value, but they exist. Like they're there, they just aren't holding anything right now, okay? The way you can kind of think of it is you're initializing like 5 containers that are all gonna hold something, but they're not yet holding anything. I guess it's a good way to visualize. So we're gonna keep the string array for now. I'm gonna show you how we can add things to array, and change values and print them out and see what that looks like, okay? So the way that you index things in an array is going to look like these curly braces, okay? So I'm just going to type some stuff out and just follow with me, right? So in my string array, I want to have hello, I need double quotes, hi, Tim, maybe I should have done less values, Bill, and Joe, okay? Now these are the 5 values in my string array. Don't type this out with me, this is just showing you an example. Now, the way that we start counting in computers, or actually, let's first say this. Every element in our array is going to have an index, okay? And the index is going to be a number that represents its position. So in this case, you'd say, like, this is position 1, this is position 2, and this would be position 5. Now, if I were to ask for position 1, it would give me hello. But the thing is, that seems logical, but in computers, we actually start counting at 0. Meaning that position 1, which I'm saying is hello, is actually going to be position 0. And that means that whatever the length of my array is, so in this case 5, the last position in my array is going to be the length minus 1. So in this case 4. So Joe would be position 4. And these are known as indexes. So like index 0 is hello, index 1 is hi, index 2 is Tim. And this allows us to really easily grab different elements without having to know their value. We just know the position of them in the array. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how we count in computers, okay? So how can we actually access these different elements? Well, I'm going to create a variable. I'm just going to say string x equals, and in this case, I want to get like value 2 in my array. So first of all, I haven't actually added anything to my array, but we'll do that in a second. But how I would do that is I would type like new AR, and then I put square brackets, and then in here I put the position. So position, say I wanted to get hello, I think that was the first or second position, we'll see. Anyways, I would type 1, and what this would give me is the second value in my array, because remember we start counting at 0, so the first value would be 0, and the last value would be 4. Now maybe this is going to look a little easier once I start adding things into my array. So the way that we can actually add things into the array is, well, we've declared an array, and we said it has length 5. Which means that these elements already exist, or there's buckets that are just not holding anything. So what we have to do is we have to say new AR 0 is equal to, And in this case, let's give it a value. So let's say hello. Okay, put our semicolon. There we go. We've just set position 0, index 0, whatever, to hello. Okay, so now if I copy this a few times, I can set the values of all the elements in my array. So it is 0, 1, 2, and 3. And here I can just change these. So I'll say hi, I'll say Tim, I will say Bill, and we can add one more, but we don't have to. So if we let's just add one more for the sake of it. And new AR4 is equal to what do you call it? Joe. Oh, I don't know why it's doing that for me. Okay, Joe, like that. All right, so if I say string x equals new AR4, then that's going to be equal to Joe. So to print this out to the screen now, I can do system.out.println. And in this case, I will say x, and let's see what we get. We get Joe, right? Because we added all of these into the array. Now, if I just comment this out by doing that, let's see what happens when we do new ARR4. Let's see what we get. We get null. Now that's because, remember what I said, when we initialize this array, we set it of a length of 5. And we say, okay, these are our containers. We've got 5 containers, 5 buckets. They're going to hold values. We don't know what the values are yet. All right. So if we haven't set a value for the 4th index or the 4th position, well, we don't know what it is. So we're just going to return null, meaning nothing is there right now. Okay. So yeah. So that's how you add things into an array. Now I'm going to create another array and show you a kind of an easier way to do this if you're just going to like statically type in numbers. Okay. So I'm going to say int, this time we're going to do an int array just to save me from doing all these quotation marks. I'm going to say int, let's say nums is equal to new int square brackets, or actually we don't need that because we're going to do the other way. We're just going to put 2 curly braces, and in here we're going to type out our array. So in this case, this is now my number array. So I put it in curly braces, and I have an array of 2, 3, 54, 6, and 6. Now again, just to recap, 2 would be at index 0, 3 would be at index 1, okay? Because that's the way we start counting. And now, if I wanted to, instead of having x equal to new ARR, I'm going to say nums4, which should be 6, right? And what's our error here? Change, this has to be an int, my bad. Int x equals nums4. We print this out, you can see we get the value 6. So that's another way to create an array if you're just going to be like typing in all of the numbers like that, okay? And obviously you can create arrays of different types. So like int, we could do string, we do float, we could do double. So you say like a double array of nums2 is equal to, and then in here you like 2.0, 3.0. There you go. We now have a, wow, really, I forgot that. Okay, well, you need that, but that works. Okay, we now have a double array. At index 0, we have 2.0. At index 1, we have 3.0. And yeah, so arrays can get fairly complicated. They're not really the best thing to be using for a lot of example cases, but for right now, we have to understand them. In later videos, I'm going to be talking about collections, which are going to allow us to do some cooler things rather than like indexing elements like this. There's some cool methods that we can use on those. But for now, I would just want to make sure that we do understand arrays, okay? And in the next video, I'm going to go through looping through arrays, and we'll be talking about that more using for loops and while loops. So as always, if you enjoyed, please make sure you leave a like, and I will see you in the next video.